Kennedy, just a guess, just a guess.
Coming up on tomorrow's Live at 5, we'll have this week's Pet of the Week.
And we'll have the latest from the entertainment report from Hollywood. Be sure to join us for that tomorrow, Live at 5.
Time now for Nightly News with Todd Brokaw. Campaign heating up. We'll see you tomorrow.
Missing U.S. POWs, former defense secretaries say some were left behind. The president goes after Clinton on the draft. Clinton gets major business backing. And on America Close Up, an upstart airline started by laid-off airline workers.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw, reporting tonight from NBC News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. It's been one of the Vietnam wounds that refused to heal. Were American prisoners left behind when the war ended? Today, striking statements from two former defense secretaries from the Nixon administration. James Schlesinger and Melvin Laird told Congress American prisoners were abandoned. NBC's Odetta Rogers is covering the story tonight. Odetta?
Tom, Senate investigators say the hearings before the POW-MIA committee are historic. They say the American people will find out what the government did or did not do to get all the POWs back home.
In 1973, former President Nixon announced the end of U.S. involvement in Vietnam and that all American POWs were on their way home.
Within 60 days from this Saturday, all Americans held prisoners of war throughout Indochina will be released. There will be the fullest possible accounting for all of those who are missing in action.
But at today's hearing, James Schlesinger and Melvin Laird contradicted Nixon. They testified that some servicemen were in fact left behind.
I have a high probability assessment that people were left behind in Laos and a medium probability assessment with regard to Vietnam.
Schlesinger said the war's unpopularity at home made it tough for the U.S. to use military threats to get North Vietnam to free the Americans there.
What do you think about the prospects, based on the intelligence reviewed and people you've talked to, that someone would be alive and held by a government in one of those countries today?
I believe that those prospects would be very slim, Mr. Chairman, as of now.
Relatives of POWs and MIAs came to the hearings. Carol Hurtica's husband, David, has been listed as missing in action since 1965.
We've maintained all along that the men were abandoned, and it just is one more nail in the coffin of the men. I mean, Nixon put the nail in, as far as I'm concerned, when he made the statement that all the POWs were back.
Another former Nixon aide, Alexander Haig, objected to the hearings.
Do you believe that the Vietnamese have given a full accounting?
Of course not.
Then that's why we're here.
Well, now, what are you going to do with that information?
Well,
are you going to bomb Hanoi?
Some committee members say Nixon may have made the 1973 POW announcement to shift attention away from Watergate. That's an issue Henry Kissinger will face when he testifies tomorrow. Tom.
Thank you, Odetta. Bill Clinton's efforts to avoid service in Vietnam came under fire directly today from President Bush, and this is the first time the president personally has gotten involved in this issue. More now from NBC's John Cochran.
Bush came to New York to address the United Nations. This was a high-minded call for nations to cooperate in peacekeeping operations. But the tone changed when Bush moved cross town for a radio interview with a sympathetic host, conservative Rush Limbaugh. Bush said Clinton has not been truthful about his long-ago draft situation.
And the American people are entitled to an explanation. And I have a very different concept of public service. I have a different concept of military service. I'm sure I would never call the military immoral.
Clinton never called the military immoral either, but Bush nevertheless insisted that Clinton should
then elaborate on the letter that he wrote where he condemned the whole military as immoral and said...
Bush's aides later admitted that was wrong, but still refused to apologize because, they said, the whole tone of Clinton's now famous letter to an ROTC colonel in 1969 was anti-military, such as his statement about many fine people loving their country but loathing the military. Clinton never said he loathed the military. As for telling the truth, Clinton replied today,
Admiral Crowell has more credibility on truth-telling than George Bush.
That admiral, of course, is the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff who endorsed Clinton on Saturday. Only last week, Bush, at a National Guard convention, refused to use the draft issue openly against Clinton.
I didn't come here to attack him.
Republican sources tell NBC News that some of Bush's aides, including Chief of Staff Jim Baker, were ready for Bush to go on the attack last week, but Bush said no. The president apparently changed his mind today because some polls last week showed Clinton is vulnerable on the draft issue. And with the economy a losing issue for Bush, the president wants to change the subject.
NBC's John Cochran in New York tonight. As Bill Clinton responded to the president's attacks on him today, he was also successfully invading what has been called Bush country. Clinton collected the endorsements of more than 400 chief executive officers, leaders of some of America's top companies. Many of the businessmen were Bush supporters the last time around. And if there seems to be something missing in this presidential election, it may be black voters, always a conspicuous part of Democratic campaigns. What's different this time? NBC's Andrea Mitchell.
In a close election, these voters could make the difference between victory and defeat for Bill Clinton.
This is your election. This is your country. It is your future.
But many blacks feel that the Democrats have been taking them for granted this year. More typical than this Chicago rally yesterday was an earlier stop the same day in predominantly white Macomb County, Michigan. Home of the Reagan Democrats Clinton believes are crucial to winning. The kind of voters he courted on most of his bus trips, swing voters in small towns who have been voting Republican for a dozen years. Their most obvious characteristic, they're white.
I think that Bill Clinton's strategy really is calculating the numbers. How many of the traditional constituency of the Democratic Party do you lose, as opposed to how many of the suburban vote do you gain?
Cleveland! Then there is the Jesse Jackson factor. Jackson was in Oregon today trying to register blacks. The Clinton campaign has not given him a more prominent role. At a recent rally, Clinton even forgot to make the registration pitch until Jackson sent him back to the microphone. At another appearance, Jackson sat stone-faced while Clinton spoke. Then it took someone else to get their hands together in solidarity. Support from other black leaders helped Clinton isolate Jackson, although not all prominent blacks agree with that strategy.
We never expected much from Republicans, but we did expect a heck of a lot more from our Democratic leadership.
What we are doing is trying to unite the American people across racial and income lines with an economic strategy that's good for the poor, that's good for the cities, but that's also good for middle-class people and for business people.
Like Republican presidential candidates before him, George Bush has ignored the black vote. For instance, on July 4th, he campaigned in a North Carolina Klan stronghold. Spent years resisting a stronger civil rights bill than the compromise he eventually signed.
So black voters this year are expected to vote Democratic, as usual. Unless they feel so neglected, they don't bother to vote. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, Washington.
When Nightly News continues in a moment, Garrett Gottlieb tonight on what we can expect now for European unity and what it means to this country.
To those who still believe that only expensive luxury cars should offer standard anti-lock brakes, a driver's side airbag, and sophisticated engine technology, we think you'll come around. The Civic EX Sedan from Honda.
I found a safer aspirin. Ecotrin. For minor arthritis pain, Ecotrin's orange coating makes it safer to your stomach than plain or buffered aspirin. So I'm not concerned taking even the maximum dose. The safer aspirin, that's Ecotrin, and that's the truth.
Day after day, you make those glasses of thick Metamucil disappear. Why not make them all disappear with FiberCon? Doctor-recommended FiberCon gives you the same fiber regularity in tablets.
Easy to swallow tablets.
Get doctor-recommended FiberCon.
European money markets were not as jittery today following Sunday's razor-thin yes vote in France for the treaty to unify the continent politically and economically. But it was more a sigh of relief than exultation. NBC's Garrett Gottlieb is in Paris tonight with the latest and what it means for all of us. Garrett?
Tom, sometimes a vote doesn't settle anything. Europe, the day after the French referendum, is pretty much where it was the day before the vote here, a big question mark over the future of the European community. And the people who are really on the spot are European leaders.
Today, German Chancellor Helmut Kohl called for a return to the European dream of unity. But privately, German officials are worried that political unity will now come much more slowly. From Kohl to French President Mitterrand to Prime Minister Major of Britain, Europe's leaders are under siege. People are asking, Who is in charge here? Currency turmoil of the past week showed how much power has shifted to here, international financial markets. They hold no nationality, are responsive to no one except investors trying to protect their money and make more of it if they can. They could determine Europe's future. Geronimo Villalba is president of Merrill Lynch France. I asked him where power lies today.
Power still lies with the people, and the people are the markets.
That is, the people with money, the law of the financial jungle. And that will continue in Europe as long as some countries like Germany are richer and others, such as Britain and Italy, are poor. And speculators play one currency off against another, and European currencies against the dollar. That creates problems for anyone doing business in Europe, including American companies. Europe is a big export market for U.S. products. We need a stable European market to help get our economy moving. Europe's leaders know the problem they face. If they cannot get their economic act together, then the speculators and the markets will still have the last word.
In the market, people are voting, a famous economist said it, people vote with dollar bills, or people vote with French francs or Deutschmarks. When people are voting with their money, it takes on a very immediate and very important significance.
So, where is the European community tonight? It is confused, uncertain whether it wants a real political union and a common currency. But the idea of an economic community where people can do business across borders, and that includes Americans, that idea is still very much alive. Tom?
Thank you, Gary. And this postscript tonight to Europe's current economic troubles, the latest unemployment figures for the continent, overall 9.5% in July. Here at home, unemployment is running at 7.6%, so when a help wanted sign is posted, that's news. In Atlanta, NBC's Kenley Jones tells us a lot of people are hoping there's room at the inn for a job.
It's a sign of the times. Hundreds of job seekers lining up, hundreds more expected each day this week.
I'm here today to be one of the first that they look at.
Get here first and maybe it'll go through.
Kenneth Reed and Carol Keenum are two of 700 people who showed up this morning to apply for 375 jobs, paying between $5 and $10 an hour at Stouffer's new Atlanta Airport Hotel, opening in November. Like many others in line, they have been working temporary jobs when they can find them. They say employers offering permanent jobs are scarce these days.
I think they can get by cheaper with just part-time help than full-time help because you don't have the benefits and stuff like that.
Without benefits, both Carol, a single parent with 2 children, and Kenneth, whose wife just had a baby, have had to rely on public assistance. They would rather have jobs.
I've had to depend on public assistance for a while, but I'd rather do it by myself if I could.
I don't want a handout, but sometimes you can't do anything except a handout.
Labor analysts here say hiring by businesses is on the upswing, but
it's going to be a slow recovery period. It's not going to be anything quick and dramatic, unfortunately.
The job interviews here will continue all week long. The long lines of applicants are expected to continue too. Kenley Jones, NBC News, Atlanta.
On Wall Street today, the stock market finished slightly lower in light trading.
I was really downing those tablets. Come on, they're not candy. I started to think there was something really wrong with my stomach. A sigh of relief when my doctor told me to try a new antacid tablet.
Introducing Mylanta tablets, shown to neutralize more stomach acid than the leading tablet.
Unbelievable.
New Mylanta tablets.
My doctor said Mylanta.
It was unreal. You woke up with morning breath. You were meeting Miss Wonderful for breakfast, and instead of minty fresh scope, where's my scope? There was something from the medicine-y mouthwash. It looked blue, but it still smelled somewhat medicine-y. I need my scope. It's okay. Relax. It was all a dream. You do have scope. It's minty through and through and kills 90% of morning breath bacteria. So you use minty fresh scope and you kiss morning breath goodbye.
Let's clear the air. Despite what some headache pain relievers may have led you to believe, there's something to relieve pain that almost everyone can take without simple stomach upset. What is it? Genuine Bayer, America's #1 aspirin. For those who use Ecotrin for the relief of the minor aches and pains of arthritis, we've got a flash. You can wait hours for Ecotrin to start working, or with Genuine Bayer, you can wait just minutes. Genuine Bayer aspirin, America's #1 aspirin.
America close up now. The corporate dogfights in the airline business have grounded plenty of employees in this country. Some of them, however, have taken upon themselves to find friendlier skies. NBC's chief financial correspondent, Mike Jensen, is here tonight to tell us what they've come up with, or at least some of it. Michael?
Tom, it's a company called Kiwi. 219 people who put up their own money to start one of the world's tiniest airlines.
Kiwi is a fully licensed airline. We're flying Monday.
Kiwi's president, Robert Iverson, getting the official go-ahead from the government. And this morning at 6 a.m., Kiwi's first flight took off from Newark, headed for Atlanta. Kiwi has only 2 planes, which also fly to Chicago and Orlando. Kiwi is named after the New Zealand bird that can't fly. All of Kiwi's employees had their wings clipped, were fired or laid off by other airlines, mostly Eastern. The other thing that makes Kiwi different is that the employees are the owners. Pilots had to put up $50,000 each, other employees $5,000. Captain Edward Gilski jumped at the chance.
I considered it my last and second chance to finish my career, a 40-year career, with some pride and some dignity, and then go into retirement.
For passengers, the big lure is cheap tickets, $99 each way. In a month, they'll go up to $130, but that's still a good deal.
We had a reservation on Delta, and I think it was $680 round trip.
Kiwi flight attendants are being retrained. It's like a pep rally.
The other thing that we're offering you is thermal coffee pots for the first time.
But it will take more than that for Kiwi to make it in one of the nation's most cutthroat businesses. Almost every airline is losing money because they've been slashing fares to steal one another's customers.
We're very much aware that we could be put out of business by a major airline who decided to respond to us on the basis of fares. Therefore, we won't take any more than 10% of any market that we go into.
No airline since deregulation that has started has survived.
Airline analyst Glenn Engel.
Without a frequent flyer base, without any brand name, they're going to have a hard time filling their plane even though the costs are low.
And on Kiwi's first day, there were lots of empty seats. But the passengers who had discovered Kiwi were happy.
It was convenient. The price was right. I don't have to stay over Saturday night.
We're treating the people like they're guests instead of cattle.
They also like our lines of experience, too.
Right here.
And for Kiwi's president, an old Eastern Airlines pilot, this is more than a business. It's a crusade.
If ever in the history of anything there was a group effort, this is it. It's not only your money, it's your effort, it's your tears, it's ours.
Very heartwarming, but analysts say that if Kiwi begins to succeed, bigger airlines will cut their prices and try to squeeze Kiwi right out of the market. Tom?
Thank you, Michael. We'll be back with more news, and including some heartening news for paralysis victims in a moment.
Is this seat taken?
No, please.
So that's what you're eating? Too bad.
This is a whole grain cereal.
Yes, with sugar and preservatives.
Oh, and I suppose that you're
Kellogg's Nutri-Grain. It's made with pure whole grain.
Oh, really?
It's the only whole grain cereal without sugar or preservatives added.
The only one? I didn't know.
I know.
So what else should I know?
You have milk on your chin.
Kellogg's Nutri-Grain, as good as whole grain gets.
When my arthritis pain acts up, even little things are a big effort. But I don't take aspirin anymore. I take Advil. Advil is the brand many doctors recommend for hours of relief from minor arthritis pain. You know, just one Advil is as effective as 2 regular aspirin. And Advil doesn't upset my stomach the way aspirin sometimes can. So now, I don't even have to think about arthritis. Advil, tablets and caplets, advanced medicine for pain.
Who are you going to call the most this month?
I'd probably call my mother the most. My mother.
My mother.
With Sprint's new program, The Most, first you get 20% off whoever you call the most each month.
My mother, because she worries.
Second, you get 20% off calls to any of the millions of other Sprint customers automatically.
My mother in Montana.
My mom.
I call my mother in Brooklyn, New York.
Doesn't anyone around here ever call their father?
I drink V8 because...
Hey, I think it's good for me. It makes me pep.
You got your vitamin A, your vitamin C. I like it because it has those beta-carotenes in it.
What's that word?
Beta-carotenes.
Pardon?
Beta what? You know, beta-carotene.
Muy sabroso.
Call me crazy, but I think it's delicious.
35 calories.
Really? 35? Yes. It's a kick. I love you. V8?
V8 keeps me thin.
It's zippy kind of thing, a zippy thing.
In Chicago, the Catholic Archdiocese today set up a toll-free hotline to handle complaints of sexual abuse by priests and a special board to investigate all of the charges. In other news tonight, in Bangor, Maine last Wednesday, the start of the first ever transatlantic balloon race. And today, 2,580 miles and 115 hours later, a winner. The two-man Belgian team landed in Spain. The British team was second, landing in Portugal. Weather forced two teams to ditch. The Germans on Saturday, the Dutch yesterday. Both came down safely. The Dutch balloonists pulled from the waters off western France, and the American team, incidentally, is still up in the air, trying to set a new endurance record. In California, police are looking for the driver who did this, ran a stop light and crashed his pickup truck into a packed church van. 7 people were killed in last night's crash, including a pregnant woman. In medical news, there is new hope for accident victims condemned to a lifetime of paralysis. There are up to 15,000 new cases a year. NBC Science correspondent Robert Bazell has more tonight.
Initially, Holly Kester was not too enthusiastic about functional electrical stimulation, FES.
Well, I was nervous at first because I didn't like the idea of actually having wires implanted in my legs.
But Holly, who became paralyzed from the waist down in an auto accident while she was in the Army, has grown to appreciate the complex computerized system that sends small electrical impulses to the nerves in her muscles.
After sitting down for so long, right now I can stand up, and even though I can't feel my rear end, it feels great to be able to stand up and look eye to eye to somebody.
Researchers at the Cleveland Veterans Administration Hospital and Case Western Reserve have been working jointly on FES for more than a decade.
When one has an injury such as a broken neck, then the whole rest of the nervous system is still functional, but it's disconnected from the rest of the body. So what we have done, since we can't reconnect it to the brain directly, is connect it to a computer and then teach that computer what to do and then allow the individual to control the computer to make his body do what it wants to do.
Lee Harris, another victim of an auto accident, is a quadriplegic, but he has enough use of his hands to control the computer to stimulate the complex set of muscle movements that allow him to move from one seat to another, a transfer.
A lot of my friends, they have trucks. They've got to pick me up and put me in the truck, and it really makes you feel like you're nobody. With this, it gives you more independence.
Ronald Liu is a radiologist at the VA. He remembers a doctor telling him he would never walk again and making a vow to himself.
Somewhere along the line, I'm going to find something, whether there's going to be a project where I will stand up on a limited basis, either with braces, with functional electrical stimulation, or the ultimate, a cure for spinal cord injury. I was going to stand up and walk.
It is not graceful, but Dr. Liu can walk again. Progress with FES is increasingly rapid now. Researchers expect it to be widely available to paralyzed people within 5 years. Robert Bazell, NBC News.
When Nightly News continues, valuable land for sale, dirt cheap.
I'm gonna get changed. Coffee's right there.
Taster's choice. I'll get it, okay? Hi. Do you want the lady of the house? Well, she's getting changed. Would you like to come in for some coffee?
Savor the sophisticated taste of Taster's Choice.
Who was at the door?
A neighbor. They said you were in the bedroom.
And did you tell him who you are?
He didn't ask. Great coffee.
Chrysler has found a new way to develop cars. Instead of designers, engineers, manufacturers, and parts suppliers working separately, they now work as one in something called a platform team.
The result? A totally new automotive architecture called Cab Forward. It'll influence how cars are designed into the next century.
Introducing the Chrysler Concorde, the Dodge Intrepid, and the Eagle Vision. In the car business, you lead, follow, get out of the way.
You've been dieting with a very special day in mind, which could mean you're not getting your daily amount of protein, because many foods that provide protein are also high in fat. But not this one. Kellogg's Special K, the only cereal that's fat-free and a good source of protein. So make Special K part of your future plans and get into that dress you've been dying to wear. Kellogg's Special K. Get the protein, lose the fat.
When your sinuses are closing in on you, what you need is a sinus spray like Sinex. Only Sinex adds Vicks vapors to its decongestant, so at last you can feel your sinuses open up. For sinus, think Sinex.
Assignment Earth tonight. America's mining laws put in place 120 years ago and still offering bargains at 19th century prices. Tomorrow the House votes to change the federal law, and this has created a land rush. NBC's Roger O'Neill tonight.
It's picture postcard pretty. The Stillwater Valley in southern Montana, part of the Custer National Forest, public land. And the United States government is selling it. Not all of it, just a narrow sliver amounting to 2,000 acres. Which happened to be on top of an estimated $36 billion of platinum and palladium. Two American companies, Manville and Chevron USA, will pay $10,180 for the land.
It is the last remnant of all federal scams.
But it's perfectly legal, and it's been going on for 120 years. The 1872 mining law. It was simple. Find some federal land, stake a claim, and mine it. Any minerals you found were yours, and you could even buy the land for $2.50 an acre. And you can still do that today. And lots of companies are in California, Nevada, Montana, Alaska. Those who want to rewrite the law want to stop the giveaway of public land. But more importantly, they want a royalty or fee on all of the minerals removed. Miners' Lobby says that would throw thousands of people out of work.
We firmly believe that if this bill is ever signed into law, it is the end of the hard rock mining industry in the western United States.
To me, that is the most specious argument of all. If they mine on private land, they happily pay a royalty. Yet if we ask them to pay a royalty to the federal government because they're taking federal lands to mine on, they insist they're going to go broke, it's unprofitable, they're going to throw people out of work.
This week, Congress could take down the shingle hanging over the public's land, the sign which reads, "For sale, cheap." Roger O'Neill, NBC News, Washington.
That's Nightly News for Monday night. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Just ahead on your 24-hour news source.
Authorities say she shot her two young children in the head along an Iowa highway. Today, an Indiana woman breaks down as she faces a Pottawatomie County judge. I'm Mary Mills. I'll have details.
This Norwalk woman accused of killing her 6-day-old baby will have her trial moved to another county.
South Central Iowa farmers still trying to figure out the damage to their flooded crops.
The debate over closing part of Keo Way in downtown Des Moines is underway here at City Hall. I'm Kathy Saltero. I'll have a live report.
Plus, a secret pizza recipe winds up to be very costly.
And Gary Amble talks about a cool down tonight, all coming up next.
Politicians who've been in Washington too long don't understand a neighborhood like this. Here in Iowa, if you bounce a check, you pay for it. And if you can't afford health insurance, you worry about it. But not on Capitol Hill. They don't have to balance their checkbooks, and they get cheap health insurance. I'm Elaine Baxter, and I want to bring affordable health care to our families and good old-fashioned Iowa values to Washington.
This is where the principal is planning its new building. Why do we need to build here? We need the space for 1,500 new employees. Consultants have looked at many options. The Kiwi option best solves questions of safety and cost, makes the best use of our existing facilities, and provides an attractive downtown public park. While traffic will be rerouted, city engineers feel it will move more efficiently. The principal will pay all direct costs of the project, over $5.6 million for land, traffic improvements, and parking spaces, besides the $40 million cost of the building. The community will gain $8.5 million in property taxes. We ask for no special considerations, no giveaways. The principal pays its way. The principal is proud that our growth contributes to the vitality of Des Moines, proud that this new building will provide jobs to 1,500 more Central Iowans. And those are the facts.
Live from WHO TV 13, where the news comes first 24 hours a day. John Bachman, Kim Kerrigan, Rick Silvestrini with sports, and meteorologist Gary Amble with the weather. This is News Center 13 at 6.
A picture of earlier and happier times for an Indiana woman. Tonight she faces murder charges in Council Bluffs for the deaths of her 2 children. And Terry Lass of Norwalk sits in a Warren County courtroom this morning facing murder charges in the death of her baby. Today, her trial was moved to another county. Good evening. Kim has the night off. More on Terry Lass in just a moment.
But first, an Indiana mother accused in the brutal shooting deaths of her 2 young children. The shootings allegedly taking place along an Iowa highway. Today, a visibly shaken 29-year-old Kimberly Martin appeared in a Pottawatomie County court for a bond hearing. Martin's bond this morning was set at $260,000. She was charged with first-degree murder Saturday after the bodies of her children were found in the back of her car. Both had been shot in the head with a .38 caliber handgun. News Center 13's Mary Mills reports on today's court proceedings in Council Bluffs.
Kimberly Martin appeared dazed and confused during her brief court appearance. At one point, the Indiana woman tearfully asked the judge, "Who is Dusty and Brandy?" The judge told her they were her dead children, that someone would talk to her about it in jail. The bodies of her children, 8-year-old Dustin and 4-year-old Brandy, were found early Saturday in the back of Martin's car along I-80 near Council Bluffs. Both had been shot in the head. A trooper made the gruesome discovery after pulling Martin over for allegedly leaving a truck stop without paying. The county attorney says there's no doubt the shootings took place in Iowa. He asked for as high a bond as possible.
Bond was set pursuant to the Supreme Court schedule at $260,000.
This is the Granger, Indiana home where Martin and her 2 children lived. Neighbors were shocked to hear of the shootings, as were students and teachers at the school Dusty attended. Today, counselors helped students and staff members cope with the tragic loss.
We're just heartsick about the whole thing. Neat little kid, bright little boy, very happy.
Now, authorities haven't speculated on a motive. Martin's parents, however, say she was distraught over a pending divorce and worried about losing custody of her children. Her estranged husband, by the way, hasn't been available for comment. John?
Mary, with Martin appearing so confused in court, what about her ability to stand trial?
Well, John, the county attorney says he will seek a mental exam if the defense raises the competency issue. We should know more in another week. A preliminary hearing has been set for September 29th.
Okay, thank you. Mary Mills reporting for us. A Norwalk woman charged with murdering her infant son will not go on trial in Warren County, where the crime allegedly occurred.
A Warren County judge agreed to move the Terry Lass trial. But as News Center 13's Tom Hauser reports, it won't be moved very far.
Terry Lass made one of her last appearances in a Warren County courtroom today. Her attorney, Alfredo Parrish, asked for and was granted a change of venue, meaning the trial will be moved. But it won't be moved far. The trial was originally set to begin next month in Indianola in Warren County, but a judge granted a move to Newton in Jasper County, a drive of less than 60 miles. Despite the short move, Parrish says he's satisfied, although he won't know if he can find an impartial jury until he starts trying to seat a jury. Parrish asked for the change of venue because of all the publicity over the original search for the baby, plus the eventual arrest of his client when the baby's body was found. Some broadcast reports indicated rumors about the case were widespread in Warren County.
Norwalk police say the mother never confessed to this crime. That report is false.
Despite such reports, Parrish told me today there was nothing in any news coverage he saw that would be considered sensational. So he thinks a fair trial can be held in a neighboring county where rumors didn't spread by word of mouth. The Terry Last trial has also been pushed back. Instead of starting next month, a judge has now pushed the trial date back to December 1st. Tom Hauser, News Center 13.
The judge also gave the prosecution until November 1st to decide whether to call Terry Lass's husband as a witness. Now, Mark Lass says that he will testify if he's granted immunity. He currently faces no charges in the case. After 2 weeks of testimony and 1 day of deliberations, a Polk County jury has reached a verdict in the Tavern Mustard's Pizza case. The Tavern of Valley Junction sued Ron Brandow, former employee, for selling the restaurant's secret pizza recipe to Mustard's restaurant. Mustard's owner, Ron Smith, also named in the suit. Smith's attorneys told the jury's Tavern's recipes aren't trade secrets, and even if they were, the recipe Smith bought was not the famed Tavern pizza recipe. Well, the jury disagreed, and they have ordered Mustard's to pay the Tavern nearly $465,000 in damages.
A Des Moines 12-day-old baby fighting for his life, his family hoping for a miracle. Little Devin Vasky was born with an underdeveloped heart. He lives day by day on life support, waiting for a donor heart. His parents know the risks involved in saving Devin's life.
We are asking a very serious favor from someone who wants to try to give, well, even their baby a life too, maybe through our son.
A trust fund has been established to help pay for little Devin's medical expenses. How badly damaged are Iowa's crops from all the flooding and rain we've had? Well, it's still too early to tell. Many farmers won't know how much they've lost until the crops are in the bin and yields can be measured. Special attachments can be placed on combines to lift and save some of the rain-wilted corn, but of course crops in other fields in southern Iowa will be a total loss. Disaster officials hope to get a better handle on the damage picture later this week. Lake Rathbun has been filling up with flood waters. The level's up more than 18 feet above the normal stage. Corps of Engineer officials say the higher the lake goes now, the longer it'll take to drop back to normal. Even without any more heavy rain, it may be 5 months before the water returns to its standard level.
Understand the biggest concern right now, Gary Amble, is going to be with the cold. Isn't that right?
Well, it is, and with this approaching cold front that is now just slipping through central Iowa, you'll wake up to a much chillier morning tomorrow morning. That's what it looks like around the Midwest. As far as a heavier type of a frost, we're looking at mainly the eastern Dakotas and parts of western Minnesota, basically along the Red River Valley area. Other than that, mainly scattered frost across the remainder of the area, but Iowa, at least tonight anyway, should for the most part go unscathed as far as freezing temperatures. Our overnight low tonight should be in the middle 40s. I'll have more on that. Plus, a look at a big warm-up coming in by the end of the week, just a few minutes ahead.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Governor says George Bush can still carry Iowa if he campaigns here. Details next.
And the Iowa State Fairgrounds are falling apart. The legislative panel recommended today to spend more money to study the problem.
And opponents are still trying to convince the Des Moines City Council not to close a part of Kiwi. I'm Kathy Saltero. I'll have that story coming up next.
I bought Grand Am.
We bought Grand Am. Grand Am's #1.
Pontiac Grand Am continues to be the #1 selling car for General Motors, and for very good reasons.
It's exciting.
It's priced right. It's less than Honda and Toyota.
Pontiac Grand Am offers exciting Pontiac features and low 3.9 financing.
I love it. We love it.
America loves Grand Am. That's why it's #1.
See your Golden Circle Pontiac dealer.
Of all the ways you can furnish your home, one of the most beautiful ways is with Anderson feature windows and patio doors. Elegant designs bring the warmth of tradition, the comfort of nature. Ordinary furnishings create a look. Anderson windows create an experience.
Des Moines Lumber Company, Indianola Building Center, Stewart Building Center, Marshalltown.
When Russ Keeler sold his millionth piece of original recipe, he had a Colonel Look-alike contest. How better to celebrate the most famous chicken ever cooked? Made with 11 herbs and spices, original recipe can't be duplicated. It's what all the look-alikes ate, including the winner, whose resemblance was uncanny. Get 12 pieces of original recipe, large mashed potatoes with gravy, and large coleslaw. The Colonel's dozen, just $9.99 in Lake Edna or your neck of the woods.
The 92 Buicks are going, gone. Buy a new 92 Buick at gone 92 prices. See your quality Buick dealer today and save. Get up to $1,000 cash back on the Sabre, $1,000 cash back on Park Avenue, or up to $1,500 cash back on Regal. But you have to hurry. When the 92 models are gone, they're gone. See your nearest quality Buick dealer by September 23rd.
Be a part of the News Center 13 team. Call our NewsHawk hotline at 282-TV13 if you see news happen or capture an event on videotape.
The battle over closing part of Kiwi Way in downtown Des Moines is before the City Council at this hour.
At stake, the Principal Financial Group's $40 million proposed expansion plan. And this is just the first step toward the Principal's project, but a critical one. News Center 13's Kathy Soltero joins us with a live eye from City Hall. Kathy?
John, this public hearing has been underway now for about a half hour. We've heard both pros and cons on the issue. The City Council has yet to make its decision, though. This is a very massive project for the Principal company, one that could pretty much change the entire face of the north end of downtown. The Principal first announced its expansion plans last March. While it occupies half of 801 Grand and 2 other downtown buildings, the insurance giant says it needs more room for growth. The plan would cost the company $40 million, but Principal says the new building would bring 1,500 new jobs and generate $8.5 million in property taxes over the next 10 years. Plans for the Principal's corporate expansion include a building that would be constructed on the corner of 7th and Keogh. It also calls for a public plaza that would cover up most of this section of Keogh Way. Here's an overhead view of the area the Principal wants to build its campus on. You can see how a good section of Keogh Way and a small part of 8th Street would be closed down from the construction. The company wants to join its existing buildings and create a corporate campus downtown. American Republic executives, once opposed to the closing of Keogh Way, gave up the fight late last week. But some people still have questions.
The Principal has said this will be a public plaza, and they have also said they will maintain it. What I have questions about is who will do the security of it. If they begin having problems there, they may wish that they didn't have it.
The council is expected to decide one way or the other on the closure of that part of Keogh Way. The hearing is still underway, and we will have more on this for you tonight at 10.
Kathy, now if this first step passes, what's the next step?
Well, John, as you did mention, this is the first step, but the Principal will then have to come up with some specific designs for these buildings and for this project. They'll have to get that approved by the Plan and Zoning, and actually, they're hoping that they can start some sort of construction or demolition by October, so they're really pushing along with this.
Okay, but soon. Thank you, Kathy. Just 6 more weeks until the November general election. Polls in Iowa show Democrat Bill Clinton with a big lead over President Bush. But Governor Branstad says the state's electoral votes are still up for grabs if the president starts campaigning here.
Well, I'm working very hard to get the president to come to Iowa. And the campaign keeps telling me they haven't scheduled that far ahead, but I think it's very important for the president to come to Iowa. I still believe that this state can be won.
The governor co-chairs the Bush re-election campaign here. The president has no planned campaign stops in Iowa. However, Bill Clinton will be stumping in the state this Sunday.
A legislative panel says the state needs to spend more money to find out how much money will be needed to fix crumbling buildings at the state fairgrounds. The Legislative Fiscal Committee recommends spending $35,000 on a fairground renovation study. A study 3 years ago placed $30 million for a price tag on renovation work. The state fair manager says repairs need to be done soon or some buildings could be condemned.
Chicago Bears trying to keep pace in the NFC Central. Rick with a preview of tonight's matchup later in sports.
And up next, meteorologist Gary Amble says keep that quilt handy tonight.
Temps will be tumbling tonight, but we did have a little late day warm-up. I'll explain that when we come back.
At Iowa Methodist, the concern for quality of life extends far beyond the boundaries of our medical center. Our team commitment of helping others radiates to the community through the United Way of Central Iowa. We believe in their people helping people philosophy and support their excellent programs. We truly value teamwork at Iowa Methodist, and that's what United Way is all about. Small individual efforts which collectively have the power to make lives better and futures brighter.
Unbelievable free checking from Norwest Bank is making believers out of people.
How do they do that?
There's no minimum balance, no limit on the number of checks you can write.
Wow.
And none of those high monthly service charges.
I went down.
And the offer is good as long as your account is at your Iowa Norwest Bank. Unbelievable free checking. Everyone's talking about it.
Free.
Get Kay's new home shopping guide while supplies last.
Get it.
It's filled with thousands of hot new items from Kay's.
Get it.
Westlow's Cadence 3250 has 1 horsepower, 0 to 6 miles per hour, plus electronics, $348.84.
Get it.
Your favorite music is on sale at Kay's. CDs just $9.94, cassettes $5.94. Powell's Heirloom Cherry Jewelry Armoire has adjustable mirrors, 7-line drawers, 3 cosmetic trays, sale $229.97. Get the guaranteed lowest price at Kay's Merchandise. Experience Kay's Merchandise. A little different, a lot better.
Tonight's forecast is brought to you by your local Jeep Eagle dealer.
First, we gave you the attractive Jeep Cherokee Sport, but you said,
more. Give me more.
So we added a 190 horsepower engine, but you still said,
more. Give me more.
So we added air conditioning,
more.
Power steering,
more.
And AM/FM stereo, all for a great price.
Less. Make it less.
Okay?
Okay.
So hurry to your Jeep and Eagle dealer, look at a Jeep Cherokee Sport and say, sold.
See your local Jeep and Eagle dealer.
Now, if these statues at the state capitol were looking for some sunshine today, early on they sure didn't have much luck. Gray skies, fog covering most of central Iowa for much of today. But now this evening, things have cleared up a bit, and that probably means, I don't know much about meteorology, but I do know that when those new fronts come in, you get a change of temperature sometimes.
Yeah, you do. In fact, a cold front comes through, and this is kind of strange. You don't see this every day. A cold front comes through, and it actually warmed us up late in the day.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's still close enough to summertime.
Told you I didn't know much about meteorology.
Well, explain that one.
The summertime, the sunshine is still high enough in the sky to where you get a little benefit out of that. And
but tonight, I'll bet it gets cold.
Yeah, very cold. Take that blanket away. Let's go to the weather board and look at it this morning. Yeah, as John said, it was kind of a foggy way to travel into work. Had a few traffic jams coming into town. I don't know if the fog was a part of that, but again, it did look kind of dreary out there. Some on and off drizzle was falling throughout most of the day today. Still have a chance to pick up a sprinkle or so, and that's because of this. Associated with that cool front coming in, we do have some showers. They are traveling to the southeast, so a pretty good bet that you may see a couple of passing, very quick showers, less than 1/10 of an inch should fall across the area. All of this around Des Moines, just some ground clutter. We just have blue skies and plenty of that over the top of us now. As far as the last 5 days or so, the temps have been tumbling. You remember last Thursday, 82 degrees. A lot of folks saying summertime finally. Well, our temperatures dropped off dramatically. We're looking at mainly middle 70s, or 60s rather. Today, we did top out at 70. You can erase the 69. The extra sunshine now at the 6 o'clock hour has bumped us up 1 degree. Let's take a look at that right now over the city of Des Moines. So we peer out and look at a few numbers here, and you can see the patchy blue up top, partly cloudy skies, 70 degrees. This is looking out to the east from our station. You can see what's left of the cloudy skies. 62-degree dew point temperature, 76% is our humidity. Westerly winds at 7, and right now the barometer holding steady at 29.78 degrees. This morning now, it wasn't very chilly, but you can see where the leading edge of the cold air was, right across the northwest corner of North Dakota. But that is all going to slide to the east, and we're looking at, again, some frost possible tomorrow morning, right around this area, eastern Dakotas, western Minnesota, but it shouldn't quite reach Iowa. That's what our thinking is right now anyway. Satellite photograph showing the cloud cover as it moves in. You can see that airflow coming in out of the northwest, and that's what's driving that Canadian air onto the Midwest. Radar summary shows that we are high and dry, however, but as that cool air bumps into the moist air and warm air down to the south, it has created some thunderstorms all the way from central Ohio back through parts of Oklahoma, where tornado watches are in effect now till 10 o'clock for parts of Oklahoma and north central Texas. Our forecast, however, doesn't call for any rain. Clearing skies, northwest breezes around 8 to 16, and the winds will pick up a little bit over the next couple of hours as we get further behind this cool front. Northwesterly winds again, and those clearing skies will drop the low to 45. And tomorrow, with a chilly start, we'll hang on to cool weather throughout most of the day. 66 the afternoon high, winds turning more to the north at about 8 to 22. But then we should start a warming trend. Well, it won't happen Tuesday night. 43 is our beginning temperature. That's about as cold as we're going to get over the next 5 days. But watch what happens now. Temps go from middle 60s all the way up to near 80 degrees by the end of the week, and not a drop of rain from now until Saturday. A lot of folks are saying, dry me out, and it looks like they're going to get their wish.
That sounds great. Super. Super forecast.
But cold tonight.
Yeah, we call it, right?
That's right. We get to choose. Well, today's cool, wet weather did little for Iowa farmers and even less for Iowa crops. The corn still needs warm, drying weather. Tonight's crop reports show only 38% of corn acreage has reached maturity and is safe from frost. The average for this time of year is 85%. Iowa's soybean crop is in a little bit better shape. 38% of the bean acreage has shed leaves, and that compares with an average of 56%.
Just ahead in sports, a preview of the Bears-Giants game tonight.
Plus a daredevil stunt that you will not believe. Rick is coming up next.
Here's tonight's Wheel Deal sneak peek. Watch Wheel of Fortune coming up next on TV 13 and win.
It's the Dodge Factory Authorized Clearance. Get up to $1,000 cash back on Caravan models. Plus, get air conditioning at no extra charge on Caravans. Dodge Caravan is America's best-selling minivan. List price as low as $13,766 after cash back. See the Dodge dealer nearest you for the new Dodge you'll want to put in your garage.
It's here! Our huge Simmons Beauty Rest truckload mattress sale. We're loaded with a gigantic selection and tremendous truckload savings.
Sleep like a queen with Bedland's Queen Truckload Sale. Get a Simmons Luxury Quilted Queen for just $289, or a top-of-the-line Queen Beauty Rest set for just $499.
Save big at our Beauty Rest truckload sale, but hurry before it's gone.
Give your home the look with Dutch Boy from Menards. Premium quality Dutch Boy Dirt Fighter interior paints are on sale now. They're covered by a 12-year warranty. Latex flat is just $9.98 a gallon. And visit our lighting gallery for dazzling home lighting ideas. Right now, all Del Val lights in stock are 25% off our everyday low prices. Brighten your home with savings from Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
With the 93 Chevys coming, it's time to say goodbye 92s. The selection of 92 Chevy trucks is shrinking fast. Now is the time to get closeout prices on the truck of your choice at the low 92 price, like Chevy S10. Tough on the job and size to fit your budget. Or America's best full-size pickup, Chevy CK. More horsepower than Ford and the best fuel economy in its class. Two great truck choices that leave our competition in the dark. Goodbye 92s. Hello Chevy value at your Central Iowa Chevy GO dealer.
Sounds like a big game tonight for the Bears.
No one's really taken control yet in the Central Division, so the Bears need a good one tonight. The Bears will try and hold on to a piece of first place in the Central Division when they play the Giants this evening. New York brings an 0-2 record to Soldier Field, but the Bears are taking nothing for granted.
It seems to be an interesting matchup usually when we play them. And it seems to be usually a kind of a war kind of game.
I think they're going to come in here playing desperately. They don't want to be 0-3. It's tough to bounce back from that type of start.
We'll diversify our offense a little bit more this week, and we'll try to concentrate on the things we do best.
And don't forget to vote in this week's NFL Telepick poll, where you can choose the game we air next Sunday at 3 o'clock. Just call 1-900-370-TB13 to vote for the Steelers-Packers game or the Dolphins-Seahawks game. Each call costs 95 cents. Proceeds will be donated to help find Tammy Zawicki's killer. Well, after a week off, the Iowa Hawkeyes will play 10th-ranked Colorado Saturday. But what quarterback will they face? Today, Buffalo's coach Bill McCartney said Cordell Stewart is questionable, but he expects him to play. Stewart passed for 660 yards in Colorado's first 2 games, but he did miss Saturday's game at Minnesota with a sprained foot. Meanwhile, Tennessee coach Johnny Majors is back on the job less than a month after heart surgery. 57-year-old plans to coach Saturday's game against Cincinnati from the press box. The 8th-ranked Volunteers went 3-0 under assistant Phil Fulmer. The 1AA poll is out today. The same 5 teams in the top 5, with Youngstown State #1, Northern Iowa still at #4 in the country. And the new high school football poll is also out today. In Class 4A, Bettendorf still #1 of the state, followed by Valley right behind them, then Cedar Rapids, Jefferson, Sioux City East, and Davenport Assumption. The bottom 5, Iowa City High, Sioux City, Heelan, Dowling up 2 spots to #8, then Davenport Central and Cedar Falls. In 3A, Harlan remains #1, Pella is #4, and Johnston dropped out of the top 10 this week. Well, if you ever had any doubts that daredevils are a strange breed, this should change your mind. From Thompson, Connecticut, Brian Carson hoisted 160 feet in the air. Then he is dropped onto a pile of cars and explosives. Now, police tried to arrest him ahead of time, but Carson did it anyway. He came out of it unhurt, and he makes the play of the day. He should make the crazy of the day, too.
No kidding.
How did he come out of it unhurt?
Took him a while to get him out of there, but he
was he encapsuled in something?
He may have been. He had a helmet, of course, and a fireproof suit.
Pretty good helmet.
I was daring. Wow.
Yeah, that's worse than bungee jumping. Shelley, tonight, Gary's primetime forecast when we return.
And we'll tell you what lies ahead for Miss Iowa after her second-place finish at the Miss America pageant. Stay with us.
Government just isn't working for the hard-working families of America. We need fundamental change, not more of the same. That's why I've offered a comprehensive plan, a real plan to rebuild America, create 8 million new jobs, invest in education and job training, ensure quality, affordable health care for all. We're going to ask the rich to pay their fair share so the rest of America can finally get a break. A plan to put government back on your side. Read it yourself. Together we can make America work again.
How low can we go? It's limbo time at Charles Gabus Ford. The 93s are arriving, but we still have a lot full of 92s. Come see how low we can go on all remaining 92s in stock. Festivas, Escorts, Tempos, Taurus, Mustang, Probes, Thunderbirds, Crown Victorias, all priced to sell. Rangers, F-Series, Explorers, Aerostars, and conversion vans. We must sacrifice them all to make room for the 93s. How low can we Our prices are getting lower and lower, so limbo on down to Charles Gabus Ford, the big store.
Watch Wheel of Fortune at 6:30 and play Wheel Deal. This week, the apples are ready at the Iowa Orchard. Bring the family out and enjoy a beautiful day when you win a $100 gift certificate. Pick a crisp, juicy apple right off the tree or get them in the sales room. They have a lot of other fresh produce like squash, gourds, and Indian corn, just in time for the Halloween season, all at the Iowa Orchard. To win, watch Wheel of Fortune weeknights at 6:30. When you see the Wheel Deal on your screen, be the 13th caller with the right answer. Play Wheel Deal and win.
Gary's back. One last look.
Well, we could see a passing shower during prime time. After that, temps really start tumbling. Now, it says clearing skies on the screen here, but we will watch temperatures slip down to near 60. And again, there could be a couple of sprinkles fall.
Thanks, Gary. Coming up tonight from your 24-hour news source, that proposed expansion along Keel Way by the Principal Financial Group, the focus of a city council public hearing at this hour. We will have the latest on the controversy. Plus, more on a big money lawsuit involving a secret pizza recipe and 2 Des Moines restaurants. It's all coming up tonight on News Center 13 at 10.
Finally, it was quite a weekend for a talented young woman from Muscatine. We're talking, of course, about Miss Iowa, Catherine Ann Lemkow.
The $20,000 scholarship is Catherine Ann Lemkow, Miss Iowa. And the winner and new Miss America.
Stunned?
Yeah, I guess. Lemkow on the left was named first runner-up in the Miss America contest Saturday. Miss Florida, with a bug-eyed look, took the title. Yesterday, Catherine arrived home to family and friends in the Quad Cities. She says she's satisfied with first runner-up. She should be. And with the scholarship money that she won, Catherine says that she will attend graduate school at the University of Iowa. I guess she's got, I think, some $20,000
yes,
to attend graduate school, so you're not going to toss that away.
She's a very talented girl.
She did another great job in the talent show part of the competition. She said that she hadn't expected to win the talent competition. She never has. She won the preliminaries, and then she did very well on national television. That's got to be tough.
She has reason to be smiling for quite some time.
Thanks for being with us. We'll see you again tonight at 10.
Good night.
For around-the-clock news headlines in the Des Moines area, watch News Center 13 on Heritage Cable Channel 30, twice each hour.
Play Wheel Deal, coming up next on Wheel of Fortune, and you could win a fabulous prize from the Iowa Orchard. Wheel Deal, coming up on TV 13, next.